Ghouta is almost over. 90% has been liberated by Syria's government. The Army of Islam, Nusra, Al-Qaeda affiliate, other Islamists they've lost, opting to take the buses to rebel territories. The vast majority of rebels surrendered, and negotiations are underway for the handover of the last rebel stronghold. On the cusp of victory, as is now tradition, Assad goes against all reason and logic. He's won this battle and launches chemical weapons at civilians. According to his enemies, he can't help it.
The United States continues to use all efforts available to hold those who use chemical weapons in Syria and otherwise accountable. The regime's history of using chemical weapons against its own people is not in dispute.
Russia warned repeatedly that this may happen. They had intelligence a month ago that rebels were preparing to stage these attacks. Why not? If they can't fight, if they can't win, why not try to provoke an international intervention? It's worked before. That is, not to say we're jumping to conclusions.
Meanwhile, in a besieged enclave of eastern Ghouta, rebels are continuing to leave. The last group has finally agreed to be evacuated to the north of the country. We spoke to some doctors who worked in Douma during previous reports of chemical attacks in the area.
There was one case I faced. On January the 13th at 6 a.m, reports came in about the strike and the use of chemical weapons. 6 people were hospitalized. We examined them and found no problems with their airways. They were just scared. Nothing pointed to it, and it was impossible to talk about it, even after analysis of blood and clothes.
During my work there were also cases on January 22nd and February 25th. During the medical examinations, nothing was found. Those people had the symptoms of panic and fear, but not poisoning.
Well, to discuss this, I'm joined live by political analyst Taleb Ibrahim. Thanks for joining us. Good to have you on the programme. The Israeli airstrike, or at least what the Russian military is saying is an Israeli airstrike, it's come at a very tense time in Syria. What do you make of the timing of this whole incident?
I think, yes, 1 hour ago that the Syrian army spokesman said that it was an Israeli Air Force attack by F-15 from Lebanese skies. And they launched 8 missiles against the T4 air base, and Syrian army could shoot down 5 of those 5 missiles. I think this is another evidence that Israel is backing terrorist groups and all militants who are fighting the Syrian state, because we used, after every victory for the Syrian army, that Israel is intervening to back those militants who are actually their allies, and they are Israeli armies inside Syria.
And how could this strike affect the ongoing conflict? I mean, do you think it will spark more tension? There's a Security Council meeting tonight. Presumably we'll see some strong rhetoric there, presumably some diplomatic consequences, some military consequences. How do you think it will affect the resolution here?
I didn't hear your question well, but if you are talking about any kind of political resolution.
Yes, how do you think this strike will affect the ongoing conflict? Obviously, there's the dialogue, negotiation going to take place. Do you think that will be put on hold now as a result of this very controversial incident?
I don't think that the Israeli airstrike should be effective, and it will not make anything, it will not make any change on the ground if we will talk about the resolution in Ghouta or on the political resolution in Syria in general. But this is, as I told you, other evidence that Israel is backing terrorists in Syria, and Israel is trying to play a certain role inside Syria to say to the international community that Israel is ready and it can intervene inside Syria and it can do anything, but actually this is senseless, and it will not make any change on the ground or on the political level.
Israel, of course, so far at least declined to comment either way on involvement. We'll see what happens at that Security Council meeting. Political analyst